Welcome back to My KC Live. It is time to welcome in Jonathon McCoy with Market Advisory Group. Always great to have you here. Happy New Year, by the way.
Happy New Year.
All right. No, it is the new year, and so obviously going into the new year, 2025, people want to make some smarter financial decisions, have some different goals. So we're going to kind of pick your brain for those best tips and tricks as we get our finances in order in the new year. So first things first, what do we do?
Just like any New Year resolution, right? It's here's what we want to do and here's what we actually do.
Yes, because I always say that I'm going to get my things in order, and then by the end of the year, I'm like, well, there was a plan, and I just didn't follow it.
Well, there are a lot of great financial management programs out there that people follow in terms of how to sort of get your financial life in order. And you don't have to be in complete disarray to be looking for room for improvement, especially for the folks that we work with, generally those pre-retirees and retiree age folks. But especially for younger folks, it's a good idea to especially at the end of each year, review your budget, take a look back at how are you spending money the previous year, and maybe where was some of that money slipping through the cracks, some of those spontaneous spends and buys that we didn't really plan for.
Some of those door dashes.
Right. Those are the things that wind up on credit cards that start adding to interest and other debt issues. But I typically recommend that people focus on debt first. You know, any kind of high interest consumer credit debt that you may have. You know, your mortgage and other things, that's not necessarily unhealthy debt because you're growing the value of an asset like your primary residence. But you know, some of the frivolous spending that we struggle with as human beings, as we are, you know, that spontaneity can become very expensive. So a lot of financial management that we see is more behavioral management than as much as it is money management. But especially if you can start doing some of those out of sight, out of mind things, money going out of your paycheck into a 401k automatically, having some of those emergency funds set aside that you don't use for anything but emergencies.
See, those are the big game changers for me, where I just have it automatically going out, like the 401k, things like that, to where I'm not thinking about any of it.
Yep.
Because otherwise I'd be like, oh, if I can make the choice whether to have this go to savings or, you know, get an extra coffee, I will make the bad decision.
Right. So visualize your money-making decisions or money-saving decisions a little bit like building a fortress, if you will. So you've got you can have all of these attacks coming from different directions. Some of it's self-inflicted, like we talked about. But eliminating those money leaks, eliminating debt, which is in a money leak because now you're paying high interest on those debts. Build a good emergency fund so you've got a cushion against yourself and your spending and having to dip back into debt. And then you can really start planning around a lot of those long-term financial goals.
What would you say are some mistakes we should maybe avoid? Some that people think is going to be beneficial, but in reality it's not? Well,
you know, there's a lot of common things that folks bring to our attention, especially after they retire. We get a lot of folks asking, you know, should we cash in a portion of our 401k to pay off the house and do some of these things? We find that most frequently the biggest missed piece there is not having good tax advice on how to manage those expenses, especially throughout retirement, where people are, you know, you may spend some money on something that you think is a good purchase, or maybe you bought it in what you thought was the most efficient way, but we often find times that, you know, even taking some short-term or mid-term personal loans as opposed to taking out that big $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 IRA withdrawal, you know, now you're paying a lot of money back to the IRS on top of the expense itself. So having a financial advisor and a tax team to walk you through those bigger financial decisions is one of the main focuses that we focus on here at Market Advisor Group.
Well, there you go. Well, Jonathon, thank you so much for taking time to chat with us today. I know that all of us want to have some really good financial routines for us going into 2025. So if you're starting 2025 with new financial goals, get your questions answered by Jonathon. It's easy. You can just visit askaradvisor.com and click submit question. You'll receive a free gift as a thank you.